The world was already engulfed in flames by the late 1930s. Hitler's Germany, with its hunger for land and power, had ignited a firestorm across Europe. The Nazi war machine, a terrifying display of modern weaponry and ruthless tactics, had crushed Poland, France, and other nations. Great Britain, battered but unbroken, stood alone against the Nazi onslaught. The Battle of Britain raged in the skies, a desperate struggle for survival. Across the globe, Japan, driven by its own imperial ambitions, cast a predatory eye on Asia. The Japanese military, fueled by a potent mix of nationalism and militarism, sought to establish dominance over the resource-rich region. Their invasion of Manchuria in 1931 marked the beginning of a brutal campaign of expansion. In the United States, the public mood was one of cautious isolationism. Scarred by the memories of World War I, many Americans believed that their nation should avoid entanglement in foreign conflicts. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, however, recognized the growing threat posed by the Axis powers. He understood that the fate of the free world hung in the balance. Japan's ambitions in Asia put it on a collision course with the United States. America held territories in the Pacific, including the Philippines, and had significant economic interests in the region. As Japan's aggression escalated, tensions between the two nations rose. The United States imposed economic sanctions on Japan, hoping to curb its expansionist drive. The sanctions, however, had the opposite effect. Japan, heavily reliant on imports of oil and other vital resources, saw the American embargo as an existential threat. The Japanese military leadership, convinced that war with the United States was inevitable, began to plan a surprise attack. Their target, Pearl Harbor, the United States Navy's main base in the Pacific. Located in Hawaii, thousands of miles from the American mainland, Pearl Harbor was seen as vulnerable to attack. The Japanese believed that a decisive blow against the Pacific Fleet would cripple American naval power and allow them to achieve their goals in Asia unopposed. The morning of December 7, 1941, dawned bright and clear over Pearl Harbor. The Pacific Fleet, a formidable array of battleships, cruisers and destroyers, lay at anchor. Sailors went about their Sunday routines, unaware of the storm that was about to break. High above the Pacific, a Japanese strike force approached undetected. 6 aircraft carriers carrying hundreds of planes had sailed across the vast ocean in complete secrecy, their mission to launch a surprise attack that would change the course of history. At 7:55 a.m. local time, the first wave of Japanese planes descended upon Pearl Harbor. The attack began with a deafening roar as bombs rained down on the unsuspecting base. Torpedo planes swooped low over the water, aiming their deadly payloads at the American ships. Section 4, the attack, a storm of steel and fire. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a scene of unimaginable chaos and destruction. Japanese planes, flying in perfect formation, unleashed a torrent of fire and steel. Explosions rocked the harbor as bombs and torpedoes found their marks. Ships, caught unprepared, erupted in flames. The USS Arizona, a mighty battleship, was hit by multiple bombs. One penetrated its forward magazine, igniting a catastrophic explosion that tore the ship apart. Over 1,100 men perished in an instant. Other ships, including the USS Oklahoma, USS California, and USS West Virginia, sustained heavy damage. The airfields at Hickam Field and Wheeler Field were also targeted, destroying dozens of American aircraft on the ground. Section 5, the fog of war, confusion and chaos. The attack on Pearl Harbor threw the base into utter confusion. Sailors, many still in their bunks, scrambled to their battle stations. Anti-aircraft guns roared to life, filling the sky with a hail of fire. But the Japanese attack was swift and relentless. Amidst the chaos and carnage, acts of extraordinary courage unfolded. Sailors fought back with whatever weapons they could find, some even using small arms to fire at the attacking planes. Firefighters and medical personnel rushed to the aid of the wounded, working tirelessly to save lives. The attack lasted for approximately 2 hours. When the smoke cleared, the devastation was apparent. 4 battleships were sunk, including the Arizona, and 4 others were heavily damaged. Over 180 aircraft were destroyed and more than 2,400 Americans were killed. Section 6, A Nation Awakens, From Shock to Fury. News of the attack on Pearl Harbor sent shockwaves across the United States. Americans, accustomed to peace and isolation, were stunned by the audacity of the Japanese attack. The nation was united in its grief and outrage. President Roosevelt addressed a joint session of Congress the following day, his voice filled with emotion. He declared December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, and asked Congress to declare war on Japan. Congress responded with overwhelming support. Within hours, the United States was officially at war with Japan. 3 days later, Germany and Italy, Japan's allies in the Axis powers, declared war on the United States. America's entry into World War II was complete. Section 7, the day that lived in infamy, Pearl Harbor's enduring legacy. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a pivotal moment in American history. It shattered the nation's sense of isolationism and galvanized public support for war. Overnight, the United States was transformed from a reluctant bystander into a major player on the world stage. The war would go on to claim the lives of millions, including hundreds of thousands of Americans. But it would also forge a new era of American global leadership. In the aftermath of victory, the United States emerged as a superpower, committed to shaping the post-war world. Pearl Harbor remains a powerful reminder of the costs of war and the importance of vigilance. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of the American ideal. The date, which will live in infamy, continues to resonate in the national consciousness, a symbol of both tragedy and triumph.